Au revoir.
All right, and we are rolling. Welcome to episode number 41. This is Fitpet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lori, and today I am joined by my wife, Lori Lori.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about competition. We've both been competing with our dogs, having a great time, getting some stuff done, and we wanted to share our experiences with you all. And thanks for tuning in. This podcast is an effort to connect Boston area dog handling professionals. I will sit down and interview folks that are dog trainers, dog walkers, groomers, vet techs, etc. And we just chit chat about our lives, our dogs, and our careers. It is a homegrown effort to connect not only good dog handlers, but also cool people. And I've been blessed along the way to be able to meet some really talented individuals who I have made really close personal connections with and also business connections with. So this little project has kind of turned into a passion project of mine, and I really enjoy doing it. And I thank you so much for listening. If you've never listened to the podcast before, Laurie and I have two dogs whom are both viciously chewing bones here by our sides, so you may be able to hear it.
They're also on the podcast today as well.
And they're being...
And that's fine because they're our friends.
That is fine. They are our friends, and we
put them through the mill.
We put them through the mill, and we talk about them regularly on the podcast. So if you're new or you don't know us personally, we have two dogs, both males, and they're both about 3 years old. We have a 3-year-old Rottweiler named Buddha and a 3-year-old mixed breed, 30-pound Beagle mix named Reuben. And Reuben would be, quote, unquote, my dog, and Buddha would be, quote, unquote, Laurie's dog, in that we compete with them and do our formal training side by side with them and hang out, go on hikes, go on walks, play in the yard, stuff like that, obviously all together. But for all intents and purposes, Buddha is Laurie's dog and Reuben is mine. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, I don't think he'd work for me the way he works for you.
Oh, it's hilarious when Buddha works for me. Sometimes in class, I'll try and he's like so confused. I'm sure that if I practiced with him, he'd be fine, but I just don't practice with him. So there you go.
That's because we're so busy practicing what we have to practice with them to complete our goal that we don't have time to work with the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely not. For sure. Not. Like, it was not even an option for you to take Reuben to the field by yourself and play Frisbee with him right now.
No.
It's
not.
It just would not happen.
I don't even plan on competing in a while, and I know that I have so much work ahead of me. It's not like I'm going to take the week off, but then I'm going to go right back at it.
Yeah, because that's how you roll.
That's what we have to do.
Yeah, that is
to
what we have
stand
to
a
do.
chance.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you a funny story before we get started?
I haven't heard it?
No.
Well, I haven't seen you in 3 days.
Yeah.
You look great, honey.
You look great too. And apologies for those of you listening. We were going to try to go live with this podcast, but then we decided that it would be nicer to finish the day out and put on, our house coat and just
our house coat. I had to get my moo-moo.
Yeah.
And then I have the knee highs rolled down.
Yeah, and just relax and
the loafers.
So we would really like to do, or I should say, I would really like to do a live podcast and have it be recorded at the same time so you could listen to it in the exact same way that you are listening to it right now, but also have the live element for anybody that is hanging out on social media and that wants to tune in. I really like this podcast because some of our listeners... Yes,
Sorry.
Exactly. So then they can ask questions. Yep. But some of our listeners aren't on social media, and one of the things that I try to do with the podcast is to include those awesome handlers and dog training professionals who don't have a crazy social media presence, and neither do I. I don't have a crazy social media presence. It's not my main priority. And I can say, though, through this podcast, most of the guests that I have on, I do meet them through social media, and it's been really fun to make that kind of virtual connection into a reality and be able to actually meet people and hang out with other people's dogs. And we see each other at seminars, and we're emailing each other about referrals if somebody else isn't in our area. And it's just been really crazy to have this little network of people that are good at what they do, and then sure enough, lo and behold, we cross paths at competitions, seminars, and other things. So it's been a really fun ride. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and to those of you who sponsor on Patreon, thank you. I do have a $5 tip jar more or less set up on Patreon. If you want to become a monthly contributor to the podcast, it helps me to keep everything rolling smoothly, and I very, very much appreciate it. But I was gonna I have a funny story. So I'm listening to I'm listening to the radio today, right?
Oh, by the way,
I listen to WBUR when I get into my car because I don't have my phone hooked up to my car stereo system. Sucks. It's horrible.
So does mine.
Even the CD player. I've been going to the library to get CDs.
Here we go. She's never going to tell the story.
So, and now my CD player won't even pump the CD back out to me. I have to use my Swiss Army knife to coax the CD out. And I'm just like, could this, for a musician and somebody that likes to listen to a lot of things,
buy a new one.
I'm not going to buy a new car because my stereo
you have other
doesn't
problems
work.
with that car.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting
the door, everything.
Yeah.
It's
anyway,
falling apart.
I'm listening to WBUR. Lady calls in. They're talking about fanny packs.
Oh, love a good fanny
Yeah,
pack.
we love fanny packs. In the summer, they're great. In the winter, I don't use them so much because I got pockets. Anyway, lady calls in. She's from Marblehead. She says, I have a side business where, and this is what she describes. She doesn't say I'm a dog walker or I hike dogs. I'm not even kidding you, Laurie, about this story. I was laughing so hard by the end of it that I didn't even hear the rest of her little call. She doesn't even say she's a dog walker. She says, I have a side business where I try to fit as many dogs into my Prius as I possibly can from the neighborhood. And the most I've ever fit in is 9. And I go to the ocean with them and I go skinny dipping with them. Not even kidding.
Come on. People have so much time on their hands.
Well, she said it was a side business, so I'm guessing
it's a side business that she takes dogs, as many as she can stuff into a Prius, and then goes skinny dipping.
Yes.
That's her job.
Yes, in the ocean. She hikes with dogs. She's a dog walker, and she hikes with them, and they go skinny dipping in the ocean. And the whole thing was...
Is that an extra service?
the happy ending.
We go
you're done with your hike and you
go
take
for
a dip
walks
with your handler
We go for
who's
walks.
naked.
We give massages. We have a happy ending, which includes skinny dipping with your dog. And do they get pictures? Is the question?
Can you imagine being with 9 of our customers? I'm
disgusting dogs.
Picturing them in my head. And then being in a beach and getting bagged for indecent exposure because
Leah, I'd sooner die. The moment you mentioned this story, the woman is clearly she needs help.
But it was funny. I'm telling you, I was laughing so hard I didn't even hear the end of her little interview.
All right, but if this is a service that you are being encouraged to do,
I just thought it was funny. I thought it was funny, and I thought that the way she introduced it was funny. How she said, I have a side business where I fit as many dogs into
it's
my
her side
Prius
hustle. Did she say it was a side hustle?
Yeah.
She's a hustler.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I was laughing. Anyway, we want to talk today about competition. Laurie, I'm going to let you go first because I've been rattling on and on about nonsense.
Well,
but
you
Laurie
talk about
competed.
Your Frisbee thing?
No. You
talk about the Frisbee. All right. Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Let them know what's going on. You've been working so hard.
I know. But it's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a really supportive team. So this past weekend, Buddha and I finally got a qualifying leg and placed second to get our CD. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Yeah. Oh my God, it took forever.
No, it didn't.
I did.
She started in November.
Yeah, but fail, pass. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not supposed to say fail.
What?
Non-qualifying.
All right. Well, let the people know what the CD is. You don't have to explain it all, but just a little context.
It's healing on leash, healing off leash.
Well, what's the CD stand for?
Recalls, long sits and downs, companion dog.
Yeah, it's an AKC title.
Which is weird because that doesn't tell people really what it is.
Yeah, but that's what it stands for.
And it sounds easy. Long sits and downs, healing on leash, recalls, figure eights, stand for exam. Yeah. Anyway, so we did it all. We did it.
Yeah, you passed. Got the title.
It was amazing. Every leg felt like some huge accomplishment to me, probably because it's my first time in AKC sports. And I keep telling you that I'm like, well, I don't knit. I don't have a hobby. I got to do something. And I just kind of got this bug. And it's probably because of people that show me who your friends are or show you who you are.
Right.
They just made me excited to do it, and there was such a support system in place, and I'm pretty sure that's why I kept doing it, because I felt kind of discouraged in the beginning of my dog career. But this team of women I have around me are so cool, and they just want to see you succeed, and I think that probably had a huge part in me doing this to me, it was slow, but I have unrealistic expectations. But I know that it was done in a decent amount of time. So I was super proud of Buddha. I was super proud of me, and I'm always happy when I can work my dog. And I feel like he's my friend, and I know that he wants to be with me. Mm-hmm. So when we go in there, it's awesome. And our third leg, this is a dog who, guys, on the recall, he ran past me, stuck his nose through the ring barrier, and then searched into a steward's bag. And then he came and sat at my side. So I was a little frustrated with the last two because that's what was happening. And I just kept working on it every day until we got it. And he not only recalled directly in front of me, but he smashed into my chest. And thank God I stand like a football player, and I absorbed his blow. I stuck the landing, and the judge said, "That's the best interference I've ever seen." And because I'm a hot mess, I was like, what a way to get the third leg, with Buddha just slamming into me with a perfect front and a perfect finish. And I was like, you're my guy. I was so happy, and I can't even breathe until the sits and the downs are done, because you never know what can happen. That place is a circus, like we always talk about it.
Yeah, so can you explain how they do the initial test and then they have you come back into the ring?
So you do your routine, and then everyone does their routine after, and then all of the dogs in your class are called in.
If they pass the first part of the routine.
Right, if you get a qualifying score, which is 170 is a qualifying score, and it's out of 200. And then you get to do a long sit and a down, and it's for 1 minute, and you are 6 feet away from the dog.
For the long sits and downs.
For the long sits and downs, yeah.
And if you don't qualify for the long sits and downs, you don't do that
You're
part
out.
of the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of a waiting game. So you go and you do your healing pattern, and you do your Stanford exam, and you do your figure eights, and you do the recall and all that other stuff. And then if you do well on all that stuff, then they ask you to come back and you do your long sits and downs in the ring with all of the other competitors who passed their part of the test.
Just to give you an idea, there were 8 people in my class, and 5 people got non-qualifying scores, and only 3 made it to the sits and downs.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
And then one woman got an NQ because you put your dog into a sit, you walk away. But she backed away from the dog so the dog could see her. So it's non-qualifying because you didn't turn your back on the dog. And when you turn, it's...
Yeah, we talked about this in class last Monday.
It's hard to
turn your back on your dog and have them hold the behavior. It's part of proofing the behavior. So
yep. So this lady the judge was awesome. She was funny. I went for my third leg on Saturday morning, and I didn't get it. And she strutted right up to me, and she said, it's your fault. And I was like, wow, okay. And she was like no holds barred, older woman, and I loved everything about her. And she's like, you should have you have one Hail Mary command. And so I took her advice the next day. I took Pat and Liz's advice. Keep my eyes on the dog. Even when I said ready, I didn't even look at the judge. And I got it done, and I'm very happy. And this is a big this is kind of a big thing for me for like a million reasons.
Yeah,
but
it's huge.
I know it's not for some who always do it, but
Well, it's one of those things where I feel like people in the protection sports kind of just like, oh yeah, it's AKC. But like when you go to an AKC event, there are all types of dogs there. And the other thing is like, I want to talk about this later, but there's like zero motivation in an AKC ring unless you're doing rally, which you're going to talk about next. But like when you do your beginner novice companion dog title or your companion dog or, you know, whatever, it's like your dog has to like doing the actual routine. And it's hard. I mean, it's just really, really difficult to, you know, it's not an easy thing for sure.
But the people that we do protection work with too, Steve and all of them, they totally were supportive too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, they do AKC
impossible.
stuff with their dogs too. Some of them. Some of them don't because they're like, I can't. It's
hard because if somebody's throwing a dumbbell in the next ring, so sometimes when you're competing, they're having other competitions in the next ring,
or like the jump for rally will be like right next to your ring.
Yeah, or people are doing a walkthrough. This last trial, it was nice because there weren't a lot of people playing tug with their dog on the side of the ring, and a little bit different feeling. There were a lot of guy handlers, which I don't see. And so this competition had a lot of guys, and I thought that was cool because I always see an abundance of women. So everyone's been super kind to me and encouraging. And I'm just going to continue on because, like I said,
Are you going to do utility with
I'm
him?
not a knitter. I'm going to do the CDX, which is also called CD Open. Or Open? Just Open. Sorry.
I think it is, but the
CDX
acronym
Open.
is CDX when you get the title.
So I would like to try that. I would like to try for my BH. And I'm hoping those things will come to be just as my goal. So I hope I set these goals and I do them. And it's, since I've trained so many years ago, it's just so nice to be around supportive people who want to see you grow. And if you do it, or if any of the trainers listening do it, really just find a group of people who are so supportive of you, and that will push you all forward. It's not one for all. It's definitely like when you feel the vibe of your whole team, then
and I feel like
well.
There's a difference between support and competitiveness. Like, you know, I'm thinking of like Liz and Jen are very competitive. Like, just because they're supportive doesn't mean that it's like they're soft. You know what I mean? Like, they still want to go out there.
You think people relate supportive to?
Yeah, like
I don't know.
I'm just thinking in terms of like how great it really is to be part of that community, because, you know, on one hand you can have competitiveness, but you can also have like support. You know, like since I stopped doing the AKC stuff, like, you know, everybody still asks. Like, I still go to classes with Ruben, obviously, but like, it's like just because I went in a different direction with him. Oh yeah, they want they want pictures. Yeah, like they still are so into it because we're friends now. You know what I mean? So it's just a totally, you know, different vibe where, like, you know, I'm sure that if you and Liz were doing utility, like, she would want to beat you, but she can still like support you in that. I don't think it's like. I do. I think that there's a level of competitiveness to it. Like, you know, it's you pass and then you place, and those are two separate things. I think that we may feed off one another. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a healthy thing. We're gonna go in there. It was like we were watching a football game. So we were there happened to be a balcony in this place, and we were all watching it like as if we're watching. Yes, sit. And then if the dog showed any hesitation, we're like, do it. We're like, heel. Sending the vibes from above. Yeah, we were watching it like a game, so it was all good. Do you want to talk a little bit about rally too? Because you guys got your rally intermediate title as well. We got 2 titles. 2 titles in one weekend. That was the goal. Huge. That's what I wanted. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that for these events, it's not like you just do it once and then you get the title. You have to do it 3 times. You have to do it 3 times. And then, like, as you kind of move up the ladder, sometimes you have to do it more times. So it's not just like a one and done type of thing. Whereas like a BH or like in PSA, they have the kind of entry level test evaluation, and you do it once.
You don't have
got
to do
it. You
it
have to
3
do
times.
it. But with these events, you have to, try and fail until you do it.
For the CD, you have to do 3 qualifying runs under 2 different judges. So that's the rules for that. And as far as rally novice, I was so the good news is that every time I compete, my score is higher and higher. Not that the score doesn't, in the end, the score doesn't matter, but I'm super competitive with myself.
Yeah.
And so it's nice for me to see progress but it's so subjective.
Yep.
Anyway, it was nice for me to see progress. I thought rally was terrible. Buddha and I had been there for 10, so we did our first, I was the second person in at around 9:10 maybe. And then rally was at 5 or 6. I can't remember now. Sorry. And he was there all day. And so I'm trying to, it's a fine line between keeping him rested, maybe going for a little walk. I don't feed him breakfast the morning of the trial, so I give him some breakfast as soon as he finishes his obedience. And I think he was toast. He was so slow. And on the 3rd sign, so there's 15 signs. And it's obedience in, how would you describe it? It's 15 signs telling you to do all these things, right turn, left turn. Maybe it's a serpentine.
Will your dog follow you? That's what I look at rally as. You can command your dog for things that they need to know, but ultimately each sign isn't going to equal a command. A serpentine,
it's
if
they're spinning, so it's
they have to be willing to follow your kind of luring in your body movements. And as the levels of rally go up and up and up, less of that happens. Kind of
rally past. I think rally past intermediate is really hard.
Yeah, it's wicked hard.
I mean, you're twirling around. Your back is turned to the dog. They have to go out. They have to come in. They have to do all these weird things. It's like a obedience obstacle course.
Like an obedience dance.
Yeah. And so I think anything AKC is hard because you're in an environment that's crazy, and then you bring your dog into a ring, and when everyone's outside partying, you're with your dog and you're trying to get them. And I don't get it. I brought him into the ring. He was super psyched outside because I was kind of warming him up a little, not too much, because God forbid he has 15 minutes of 15 minutes before he passes out. So he was excited. I bring him into the ring. Oh my God. He was doing the Vanna White thing. He stands around. He's like, hello, kind of showing everyone. I don't know if anyone saw me. I'm Buddha. I'm a Rottweiler. And I wanted to give up on the 3rd sign, but I didn't. Because he wasn't blowing me off or sniffing the ground or anything. He was just so slow. I wanted to die. But we finished it. And we got a high score. But I would just really a little more pizzazz would have been nice. But like I said, we'd been there for 10 hours.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that had an effect. And it's probably something I'm going to take into account when I plan another trial. I think I should do one or the other.
Yeah, how the day is spaced
He's
out.
just so toasted.
And you're toasted,
and they're so far away. It's not as if I can come home and then go back.
Yeah, it's like a weekend, Lori trialed Saturday, Sunday of this week. She's leaving at 6 a.m., getting home at 7 p.m., 2 days in a row. And it's you're tired too. So obviously your energy and excitement and everything else, obviously in the moment you're, really excited.
Oh,
and
your
whatever,
heart's through your chest when you're almost
waiting
ready to
8
go
hours
in
between. And really, your dog can rest and chill out and stuff like that, but it's not the same as if you could
at home
decompress at home. And the other thing is a thing that I ran into with Ruben that I really need to consider when I go to the next competition is just the heat of the summer, because at AKC events they do sometimes now with COVID, they're trying all kind of crazy things.
Well, COVID,
it's over,
it's technically over,
but they still kind of have these residual rules, and they said originally that you couldn't kennel the dog inside the place, but then you could
because it's too hot.
Yeah, it's just too hot to be in the car. I mean,
Or even when you have all the stuff. Because
Right.
dog people have all the stuff. You're either going to leave your car running, you're going to keep the doors open and
you
put a
have, like, the-
sunshade,
yeah, the
reflective
sunshades,
shades. So, and Buddha sucks in the heat. He's a
Yeah.
Rottweiler.
Yeah, he's really bad in the
Like,
heat.
we're
you
rocking
guys.
the boat anchor thing anyway.
My sister just sent me a AMC Facebook page posted because somebody tried to hike their Rottweiler up Mount Washington, and like halfway up the mountain, he just like the dog just like collapsed
You have
and
to train your dog for
and
that
wouldn't
stuff.
move, and they had to like get
Jesus.
basically not life flighted, but they they had somebody come up and meet him, and then they had like a little gurney that they had to carry the dog back down the freaking hill.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I texted my sister back and I'm like, Buddha would make it exactly 1,000 steps straight up and then be like, no.
Yeah, you have
Go
to know
try
your
that.
dog and know how tired they are. And it took me forever to get to know how to jazz them up. And I think part of the game is just knowing that you're walking into a super busy environment. Even when your dog is crated, they're still watching everything go by. People are practicing with their dog in front of your dog's crate.
And that tires them out. Like, I know it sounds
It's
whiffy to say
stimulating.
that, but it's stimulating. And like, we decompress when we sleep, and we're reshuffling all of that information that we got during the day when we sleep. And dogs do the same thing. They're smart, intelligent animals need more time to rest. And when you bring them to a trial and stuff them in a crate and they're watching everything, unless they're like really socialized to it and used to it, which like you see dogs that are.
They are. I mean, he was resting in his crate, but he was very aware of all the
stuff going on
Yeah,
around
the
him. He's a
shenanigans.
Rottweiler. Of course
But all
he
of
is.
them were. They were all, it's a long day.
Yeah.
So we did all that. I mean, guys, to get this, everyone knows, like, the big Lori joke is I'm stuffing. So everyone in our group class knows that toys are Buddha's Achilles heel. I'm stuffing toys in my bra, guys. That's what I did to get my dog moving. Like, yeah, I could get a fancy Schutzen jacket and probably have it in the top left pocket, but I try. It's not. I don't wear the jacket when I go into the ring. So I'm stuffing all these toys so that when I start to do obedience, I'm just whip it out. I'm taking one toy at a time and throwing it out. Every time we have a good heel or at the end of every exercise, I'm tossing a toy out. And so before I go in the ring, I get them jazzed with a toy. And then yesterday, God, it's so long. It feels like long ago. So yesterday, I take the toy. I have it in my bra because nothing else is in there. And I take it and we're healing. Oh, good boy, good boy. I take the toy. I give it to him. He's looking at me right now. He's like, oh my God, I love this game. And I toss it over the banister. Liz gets it. I'm like, okay. And then we run down. Right before we walked in the ring, I tapped as if I had it there, which I didn't, of course. All pockets empty, everything empty. And we did it, and he was on fire, and it was awesome, and he almost killed me on the recall, but it's okay, man. I stuck the landing. We did it.
Yeah, Buddha is extremely
toy-driven.
Yeah, play-driven and not very food-driven, which is really cool for training when you're doing something like, Schutzen. But when you're doing something like AKC.
One lady, I swear to God, Leah, pulled like a pig out of her pocket.
Yeah.
She was called into the ring and she goes, I'm sorry, I have to empty my pockets. I almost threw up when I saw like all the organ meat she had in her. And it was like fleshy.
Yeah, gross.
Like, this stuff was.
I mean, I got a strong stomach, but.
Oh no, I was like, that's some nasty. And of course, I'm maybe 2 feet from the table. I'm like, let's go. I walk over to the wall.
Geez.
It's so gross. He wouldn't even care. Buddha wouldn't even care.
No, he wouldn't.
This lady was
like,
dropping organ meat on the table like she was a butcher next door.
Yeah,
man.
we've
She had
tried
everything.
to feed him raw beef, and he's been like, no. He's
like,
the weirdest dog, and in a good way because he just loves to play.
But it's good because he's not a sniffer either.
No, he's not a sniffer.
If I lose
either.
his attention, it's because he's checking everyone out and asking them if they're fine or if
yeah,
they need
or
a
he's
drink
hot or
something.
tired. Those are the things for him. But it was a great weekend
So
overall.
that was that, yeah.
It was a great weekend. I'm so excited for you. I was like, I couldn't go to the trials, and I just like, it's such an important thing for people that work with dogs to compete and do something cool. And there is so many things to compete with your dog in, and it's almost overwhelming. I was talking to Melissa about it on Saturday, but it's like, Colton could do anything. So it's almost like she just has to pick.
That was Buddha. Sorry.
Yeah. This is going to be a noisy, not very good audio.
No, it's totally fine. Dogs are part of the jam. Of course, he's going to drop the mic stand because he has his Benabone. It's the weirdest kid.
But no, what I was talking about with Melissa is like, for her dog and Buddha too. Like, when I throw the Frisbee around, he could do disc, like, he could if you wanted to do that. And it's just a matter of finding something that really blows your dog's hair back, and then and your hair back too. Obviously, you have to want to do it, but just finding whatever that is and then going after it. And
you did it with Frisbee.
Yeah. So I did some AKC, CD trials with Ruben. We did not do very well. I did a CDSP event with Ruben. We did very well, but we didn't pass because it was my fault. And then I started to. Then I met up with April Pelletier from New England Canine Athlete, and we started talking. She did the podcast. She's awesome, connected, and I was kind of talking to her because she competes with her dogs and all kind of different things. And I was explaining to her about Ruben, like, kind of who he is. And, she said, well, like, have you looked at doing some just like simpler things, like up dog would be a cool thing. Does he like to play Frisbee? And I said, yeah, he loves to play Frisbee. And that kind of sent me on the whole like Frisbee journey, so to speak.
And it was great.
Yeah, it was, because it's tough because not every dog is going to be cut out for like an AKC environment. It's really hard, and different sports are harder or easier than AKC depending on the dog you have, not depending on whether or not you think the sport is. Like, can you tell the story of the woman that had the Australian Shepherd that did agility yesterday, and she said she'd never hold a behavior.
Lady? Yeah, so I met one lady and she saw Buddha and she said, "Oh, I went to national championships in agility with my Rottweiler." She showed me a super cool picture, that classic dog jumping over the hurdle thing. And it's nice to see that a female, it's just nice to see that level of drive in a dog, and then to see that it's a Rottweiler, because I love Rottweilers so much. And she goes, she said, I could never do AKC obedience. And I said, why? And she said, because she can't stay.
Yeah.
She can't hold a behavior. But who cares? Because she found her niche. We all have to find our thing, what we're good at, even as people. So you can find that thing with your dog. It's just really nice to see.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened with Ruben and I. It's like I tried, and he's not bad at obedience. He's good at it. But when he's in that environment, it's just like he is not himself in the least. And when we go out into the field for Frisbee,
and he doesn't care about anything but the Frisbee.
He was a working dog. Yeah. He is crazy. And he, okay, so in the field, in the ring when we did AKC obedience, right? We were doing the healing pattern, and he just totally blew me off, was at the edges, wanted to leave the ring. When we're playing disc sports, he has no leash on him, no collar, nothing. Walk out onto the field, and he is just by my side barking at me until we start the game. And there is no way in heck he would run away from the field. Like when we were playing the game, because the games are so short.
And that's how you can tell he likes it.
Yeah, and I was like,
there's no whining,
this is like a different dog. And then when we were off the field, well, I should back up, but when we were off the field, it was the first time I've ever hung out with him in a public space with a lot of stuff going on, where he laid down on a dog bed that I had out in front of my van and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Because he's such a nervous wreck all the time. It's a very popular thing to do. I was actually talking to one of my clients about it today, because she wants to work with her dog to bring her to work to kind of be like a pseudo therapy dog. And I think the dog would be really good at it. And I said, you can start by, and this client, she's like really nice, fun loving person. I said, just bring her to a brewery, sit down, have her lay down on the bench, hold a place, command while you drink a beer. Like, that's what she's going to need to do. She's going to need to be able to like lay down in place, chill, and be okay with it. And I said to her, I'm like, I could never do that with Ruben. Like, he just would not. He would be looking at me alert, if not crying. He would hold it because I would basically be making him do it, and he knows the behavior, so he would do it. But I'd get the wonky ears and the discomfort and all that stuff. So yeah. Anyway, to back up, I had visited with April, and she had recommended this sport called Up Dog, which I had no idea what it even was. And basically, it is a collection of Frisbee games, disc games. There are 2 types of games. There are throwing games, so you throw the Frisbee, or you can throw a roller, so you can kind of hold the Frisbee kind of on the inside of your wrist and kind of like flick it to the ground, and the Frisbee rolls on its edge. And if your dog catches it while it's rolling, that's considered a roller. So, and there's no distinction at the beginning level between catching a Frisbee if you just throw it and a roller. So you could, do all of the throwing games and just throw rollers the whole time and still be, collecting points if you're a beginner. And there's throwing games, and then there are agility games, and both of them involve, catching a Frisbee, or a disc, I should say. But so I found out about this competition that was going on in Greenfield, Mass, which is like a super cute town. Never been out there before. I mean, I had driven through it, but never actually spent time there. All the way out Route 2, and it was at the Springfield Fairground. Really, really nice group of people, and it's like the fairground is like a horse track, and then on the inside of the horse track there's the green lawn, and they have the field set up, and the field for Up Dog is like a football field, but like shrunk down exactly in half. And when I say like shrunk down, it's almost like you took a picture and like squeezed it with your fingers, or like you zoomed in on it. So it's the exact dimensions, and it's just kind of like, that's not, I don't know if it's the exact dimensions, but basically that's the dimensions of it. And they divide the field as such, and each one of the games has different rules. And so you throw the Frisbee and catch, your dog catches it. So a lot of the game is really dependent on the handler knowing the game really well, and your dog being really comfortable following your cues as to where you're going to throw the Frisbee. And also, if you're doing the agility games, which is what I ended up doing on the day that I went, if your dog's comfortable, going through the agility equipment and stuff like that. And Ruben did a really good job for like a first run. I was super happy. And man, I got to tell you, there were some really talented dogs at this thing for something that I thought was just like a fringy, sport. I mean, the caliber of athleticism and
all these dog sports are cults,
and
man. Like you get in there, these people are serious.
Yeah, like the aptitude of the owners, the competitiveness of the owners. I mean, it is no joke, and it was really fun. And I met some really nice people. The event was hosted by Boston Area Disc Dogs. They go by BADD, BADD, if you're on Facebook or whatever. And they hold these events in Greenfield 2 times a year. So one in the spring, one in the fall. I'm definitely going to go back to the one in the fall. But the one that I could do, they ran the event 3 days. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I couldn't make Saturday and Sunday because I was working. So I had to go on Friday. And as a consequence of having to go on Friday, I had to do all the agility games. And I've never done agility with Ruben. So I'm like dragging the tunnel out to the field during the week, doing it in the yard, like putting the jumps. It was.
You should have seen Leah every morning. I gotta get the tunnel. She's explaining the games to me, and I'm supportive. Okay, honey. I just see her dragging these things across the lawn. But you did it.
Yeah, we did it. One of the events, it was called Funky.
First
and it was,
time out, people. Yeah, this is a big deal.
And we placed 3rd.
Come on.
And there wasn't 3 dogs.
It's awesome.
There was like 12.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy with that. And he did really, and it was the one event that was like super confusing. So I had actually gone out to the field and set everything up 3 times before the event because I was confused about it. And, lo and behold, we had a really good run because it was the one thing that I had like really focused and practiced on, because it's so much more than just like throwing the Frisbee and your dog catches it. Like
all these things take time.
Yeah, it's just about like knowing the game, knowing the rules, knowing how to do it. And
knowing your dog, knowing your style,
Yep.
knowing their style. No
and
one
it's
wants
simple
around
things
you.
like, you have the Frisbee. Well, you can't throw it unless you're behind the throwing line. So if you're in front of the throwing line, you throw it even if your dog catches it. Like, no. So it's like those type of things. And the games are really fast. So they're 60 to 75 seconds long. So it's like you don't have time to think. It has to be just in your mind. And it's funny because ever since we did this, like I think about the games now and I'm just like,
oh, I think about
doing
everything
my
all the
thing.
time. I think about healing all the time. I dream about it. I can picture it in my head. If we want to succeed, I go into it. I try to keep the most positive mindset I can, but we all agree that when we walk to the ring, we know right when we're at the ring how our dog is going to do in that moment.
Yeah, maybe you do because you've been doing it longer. But
No, but we all said the same thing. If you have your dog's utmost attention the second you walk into the ring, I feel like it's going to be a good run.
yeah, for AKC stuff. Yeah,
But if their head
sure.
is down or they're looking around or they're checking out the next ring or they're checking out the people behind you or the doors opening or the sounds or the clicks or the whatever, you're kind of in trouble. And you just can't get discouraged, guys. If you're a dog trainer and you go out there and you try, just don't be discouraged. Keep trying, especially if it's not your dog's nerves. If you know that the dog doesn't hate it or that you're not pushing him to do something, give it a try. Give it another try. And like I said, find a group of people who will support you and help you. That really is everything about it.
Yeah, and I think for AKC stuff, you have that for the disc dog. Like, I definitely don't, but I also feel like just my experience with going to the event and meeting people and, everybody said, wow, that was a good first day. And even if he did really bad and I did really bad on a few of the events. I mean, when I say really bad, it was bad. But when, he shined, it was great. And I think that when, and it was funny because, like you said, when I started playing the game that we got third, everything was going smooth.
You feel
everything was going smooth. And it was just, I could feel that we were doing a good job. I didn't think that we placed. And, that's the thing, you guys. If you have a dog that likes to play, but maybe they don't have the focus to do duration stuff or their off switch is such that they only get that when they're in their crate. And for some, like Ruben, if there's a lot of stimulation, the only time he's able to really turn off if he's in his crate. And that's okay. Not every dog is going to be a therapy dog. Not every dog is going to be able to handle big loads of stimulation. But I think it's a credit to Lori and Melissa and me that when he was a puppy, we played with him a lot. And when he was 1, his toy drive really turned on and I was able to nurture that a little bit. I remember taking to New Tile Field every day and playing ball with him when I realized that he really liked to do it.
And it helps get him past his nervousness.
Yeah,
So there's ways to work around your dog's
fear,
neuroses, worries, concerns.
When
and
he's on the
focus
field playing Frisbee, I mean, there's no barriers, there's no fencing, there's nothing. And don't get me wrong, sometimes some people's dogs run right off the field, and it happens and it's, you deal with it or whatever. But, in the AKC, I just remember being in the AKC ring the second day that I trialed, and in the middle of it, the judge said to me, we're going to stop because he's too nervous. And, so I did. And being able to see the difference between that trial and what he's able to do in disc sports, I'm like, okay, it's not that he's bad at, he's a bad dog. He's not a bad dog. He's just good at something specific. And the fact that he even has that kind of toy drive, he's a beagle mix. Beagles are not known for retrieving things.
He looks like a min pin, by the way.
Yeah, he looks like a little min pin.
He looks like a little min pin.
Barks
guy.
like a freaking beagle. He
barks
so
like
obnoxious.
a son of a bitch.
He barks a lot, and it's really obnoxious, and it's really rough because it just takes a lot of management. If he's out and he's he'll come to me, and I just have to put him in a crate, and it's that's the only way to relieve it. So, And when he's in drive, it's like when I brought him down to New England Canine Athlete a couple weeks ago, he was barking so much when he was playing with the other trainer we were working with. All the dogs that were upstairs started barking because they thought there was bite work going on downstairs.
Yeah.
He's crazy. Like, and you know what? I think it's one of those things. It's like, I realized who he is and how he operates, and I'm going to work within those parameters. And I know that this is an elevated level of training. I know your average pet owner isn't going to be able to do this amount of evaluating, and this amount of kind of figuring out what it motivates my dog. Because I want to compete, because I'm a trainer and I'm competitive and I want that accolade and I want to have a goal. I think that that's the biggest thing for me. Because like I looked at Ruben yesterday and he was just lying in the sun. And he was just like, just laying there in the hot pavement, soaking in the sun. And I just thought to myself, like, he could just be a house pet and he'd probably be completely fine, But I think it's also really great that he loves to play with me, and it makes our relationship so much stronger, and it makes everything about, like what he loves to do better. So I'm going to do that. And I can't wait for the next events. I think I'm going to do them in the fall,
you should
though.
do it sooner.
I think I'm going to do it in the fall because the summer is so friggin' hot and you're in there all day and there's no like cover, and it was tough. It was tough, Laurie. Outside in the like I rolled up to this place, you guys, and there were RVs, tents. Like people had whole,
oh my god,
like,
guys!
It was crazy. It was really cool.
These dog events, people have the biggest vans, the biggest trucks. They have trailers, they have it all. But what we were saying before is sometimes it can be super discouraging to compete, because if you lose a trainer or somebody who thinks they're very dog savvy, might think, well, am I not a good trainer? And I mean, I remember going for my CD, and while I didn't think it was going to be easy, I didn't think that I would not qualify so many times. And I was like, is this telling me that I'm not a good trainer? You have to ask yourself that. If you work with dogs all the time and you're not qualifying, or judging is very subjective.
Yeah, it is.
And you have to consider your dog and the day. And my God, how much did we just talk about how much time we spend on trying to figure out what blows our dog's hair back? Like, this is our whole life. That's why it's so hard to not see progress with our dogs or clients that we train. If we don't see progress, we take it so personally. Did I do something wrong? Did I not convey the message properly? Does this dog need to go to another trainer? Oh my God, why can't this person get the down? It's, when we compete, we ask ourselves, why didn't our dog qualify? Why didn't our dog get the title already? If you're trying, guys, and you're a trainer and you put yourself out there, if you don't qualify, it doesn't mean you're a bad trainer. You're only a bad trainer if you
don't train your dog. You're only a bad trainer if you don't train your dog.
Yeah, or you're...
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, or you just like...
That's why, like, when I don't do anything with Ruben, like yesterday, I didn't do anything with him because I was cleaning all day, getting things done around the house.
Yeah.
And it was like I texted you about it. I was like, I haven't done anything with Ruben today.
I know, and we beat ourselves up about it, and it's just such a normal thing for people not to do things with their dogs. But when you...
But I do have to say a segue, too. I worked with him one-on-one a lot more when he was little than I do now. And I think that that's something that should come as a relief to the pet people that are working with us. And I really honestly mean it when I say things like, if you do 5 to 10 minutes a day, once a day, twice a day, and you do it every day, you'll see results. It's that compounding effect, and it doesn't take much time. And like when Ruben was little, like I did way more stuff with him than I do now. And it's because I don't need to. Because he's a good boy.
Right. Yeah, I just, when you see dogs do such amazing things, and people who are even much further along in whatever event they're doing, or these dogs are retrieving gloves or retrieving a dumbbell that smells like their owner's hand among all these other dumbbells and
crazy.
I mean, and doing these beautiful fronts and these healing and just like it's beautiful, beautiful things. These dogs trotting and we just want you to get your dog to sit and lie down and hold it and not jump on people. And I think just do it. Like to dog owners, just do it. There's such a payoff. We're not asking for your dog to determine which dumbbell you've touched among many a dumbbell,
not looking for them to identify
jumping over
coronavirus.
a long
just,
jump.
Yeah, which they can do apparently.
Yeah, yeah. So take it a step at a time, folks. We're looking at the basics here, and if you become some super dog nerd and you want to compete with your dog, I saw a lot of pet owners this weekend competing with their dog, and I friggin' loved it. And I saw one guy with a golden retriever who absolutely partied on the recall and was swinging around the ring like a son of a gun. But that owner didn't have one angry face at his dog. He was
happy to have his
so
dog
happy to have his dog with him, and he was like this fun-loving guy, and he had a smile on his face. And to see a dog not do, like, he definitely didn't qualify, and he definitely ran around the ring. But the owner was like, "Oh, I still love you, man." And Buddha can mess up, and I can be disappointed, but no matter what happens in the ring, I still know that if something's going down and I call this dog, he's going to come when he's called. And that's why I like him. And even though I get a little disappointed in myself because most of the time it's handler error. If your dog likes competing and you get a non-qualifying score, it's because of you.
Right.
And we have to, and then if you're a trainer who's stuck in your ways, you have to keep finding new ways to woo your dog. Like to get your dog to want to do these things, to rev them up, to get them focused. And you can't keep training the same way. You have to keep changing.
Yep.
Otherwise, your dog is going to do the same shit when they get into that circus. And you have to walk into the ring. I mean, Buddha was frisking Stewart's bags.
Yeah, for toys.
Like blowing the recall. And now I stuff my bra. I mean, you do what you got to do, folks. So I guess the whole message is don't get discouraged. If your dog has talent and you're a dog trainer, you should have faith in yourself and you should do it. And I know all this sounds cheesy, but I've been doing this a long time and I've never been in AKC sports, and I'm very happy that I found a great crew of people, and I did this because it means a lot. I was kind of in a situation where someone made me feel as though I couldn't do these things. And I absolutely did, and I absolutely could. Because I just needed the right people around me. So there you go.
We have some really great...
trainers, go out there.
Yeah, and I
show them your
give
business.
A shout out to Liz up at Auntie Dog in Tewksbury. We just are such good friends with her and everybody that goes
Catherine
there.
And Pat.
Yeah, Catherine, she's been on the podcast before, and Pat is the one that teaches the competition obedience classes. And, it's just unbelievable to have that group of friends. And sometimes things happen in your life and you meet people that you never thought that you would. And
not once did I do a competition and they weren't there to watch me. It's amazing.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, at least one was there to watch me. Pat was like, "I'm just too nervous watching you guys." She still came, but when I was like, "Pat," and she smiled and it was awesome.
And it's one of those things where you need to learn from the people that have gone before you. And with Pat and Liz in particular, they've been doing this a long time.
So she has
a long time,
yeah.
and they just have a map.
Nice gift.
They have a map, and they know what they're doing, and those things you can't learn unless you learn them from people that have gone before you. And that's true of dog sport, because dogs are real beings. You can't online teach this stuff. You can't Zoom it. There's no algorithm that's going to identify when your dog's not doing well, how to get them going again. It's you have to figure out that stuff on your own, and it's a tactile thing. There's no AI when it comes to working with your dog in dog sport, and it's And I think figuring out again, really what entices your dog, and if it's nothing and your dog's a couch potato, like that's okay too. I mean, knowing that and being able to say, this is my dog. I mean, my sister has a dog like that. Her dog is, completely content to hang out and just watch the family all day and take bathroom breaks. That's his life. And he's 100% biologically fulfilled. They do hikes, they do walks, and he's not super active. He gets really tired easily. For my dog, he's really athletic. So that was one of the things that, he'll mountain bike with me. He'll hike with me. He'll play ball, play Frisbee. And so I'm just so thankful to find something that he really does enjoy and that he's also not stressed out about. When I bring him out onto the field, his focus is on me and playing with me and playing Frisbee. And that's it. And despite there being like a loudspeaker and people around and, the judges, there's 2 judges on the field. And there's people, around the field warming up their dogs and parked and everything else like that. There's kids riding bikes all around. And for him to be able to focus and perform, I knew like, okay, like we found the thing that he likes to do. And I know from my clients, their dogs like to retrieve. I can think of 3 off the top of my head right now that if they, practiced disc, stuff like that, like their dog would really enjoy it and they would be really good at it. So don't think that competing or doing something or even just preparing to compete but not actually doing it, because that in and of itself can really bring about some good habits and a good relationship building type of activities. Don't think that you're out of the realm of possibility for you. If it's something that you're interested in and your dog
or
there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, there's going to be a way. And I'm grateful for the Up Dog Sports. I think it's a perfect little, and man, I got to tell you, there was Ruben once again was the only mixed breed dog, I believe. There was some Whippet mixes there, but I don't count those as being mixed breed dogs because they breed Whippets with like Malinois and Doodles and stuff like that, and Australian Shepherds. And I mean, when I say jumping, I mean, they'll jump like 10 feet and it's insane. Ruben won't jump to get a Frisbee, which is good because that means that he won't land badly. But I saw some incredibly athletic dogs doing some really crazy things, and it was pretty inspiring. So, yeah, that will wind it down for us today, you guys. Thank you.
Thing.
Oh, so sorry. What's up?
Just one last thing is, if you're a dog trainer and you're mentoring someone, I think it's really important to realize the effect you can have on them. So you should always encourage them, especially if they show an interest in it. You can tell when somebody cares about dogs and when they don't. So if you are a dog trainer, raise them up, don't squash them, and always be happy for them, because when they succeed, you succeed. It means you done good. It means that you were able to influence somebody to want to achieve things with their dogs. So if you're a dog trainer and you find somebody who loves dogs, just hold them in your hand and then let them do what they need to do and support them. So I guess that's the last thing I would say is for dog trainers, that you should believe in yourself. You should give it a shot, trust in your relationship, and whoever you train, you have to lift them up because they're a product of you. So that's that. That's what I would say. And to dog owners, you can do it, and you should keep training your dog, and you'll have such a good, long, happy life with them when they're super obedient. And that's that.
Yeah. Amen. Great messages, Lori. Thank you. And thank you for mentoring me. I know it's I'm your wife, but I've learned an exorbitant amount from you. And yeah, I think that that's an important point too, because a lot of times with certain industries, especially the dog industry, for a long time was based on withholding information. And now information is like a superhighway, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to connect with people and encourage and embrace and nurture the ability that people have, but they might not know it yet, or they might just need to hear it in a certain way. But, like sometimes in my own life, I'm like, how have I been so lucky just in general? And it's like, I'm not entirely sure, but I know that I always have the best intentions, and I don't kind of look at things malevolently. And I feel like I'm not stupid. Don't get me wrong. Like I can smell a fart, but
what?
But I think just having a good attitude in general and being able to say, you know, as far as like a dog trainer and a mentor goes, the fear is, okay, I'm going to impart this person with all my wisdom and then this person's going to leave me. Or this person's going to F me over. Or this person's going to X, Y, and Z. And I think if you just realize it in the moment, it's okay and it doesn't matter. And you just have to see it for what it is, which is a teacher relationship and your responsibility to nurture the person and lift them up. I think that it'll come back to you. I think that it'll always come back to you in a good way. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 41. We did not do a huge celebration when I had Autumn Keene on last episode, but I should have because it was episode number 40, which is really saying something. About a little project that I had no idea where it was going, but thank you for tuning in. COVID. I am going to try to have somebody new on next episode, but it very well may be an episode with Lori and I, which I know that many of you enjoy hearing us just go back and forth, and I would really like to do a live for the next one as well, so please stay tuned, keep following the podcast, keep listening, rating, reviewing, liking, subscribing, and if you have it in you, leave a review. That really helps, especially on Apple Podcasts. So thank you guys so much. Until next time, signing off.